All right, today we're diving into a really radical new way to run a company. And I mean, forget just getting better software. We're talking about a world where the software becomes the entire workforce. So let's see how this whole thing actually works. Seriously, I want you to really mull this over for a second. We're not just talking about automating a few little tasks here and there. What if every single core business process, I'm talking procurement, finance, HR, the whole shebang, could just run itself autonomously, 24/7, without a single human ever needing to click a button? You know, for decades, pretty much all business software has been built around us, around human limitations. Let's be honest, we are the bottleneck, right? We make typos, we get tired, we have to go home at 5 p.m. Well, this new model is a complete 180. It's about shifting from a business that runs on human clicks to one that operates at lightning-fast machine speed. And it's not governed by our bad habits, it's governed by pure, cold mathematical logic. Okay, so this first section really gets to the heart of this massive shift. I want to be super clear. This isn't about building a prettier dashboard or a slightly more intuitive user interface. No, it's about getting rid of the user interface completely. Why? Because the new users, well, they aren't human. Right, so the official term for this kind of thing is a headless ERP. Now look, headless architecture itself isn't totally new. Usually it just means you rip off the normal UI and stick an API on it so other apps can talk to it. But what's so different here, and this is the key, is that this system is designed from the ground up, from day one, to be operated only by AI agents. They're the intended users from the very beginning. Okay, so if AIs are the new users, who or what are they exactly? Well, let's meet the new employees. See, to make this work, you can't just have one big, generic AI trying to do everything. No way. You need a whole team of specialists. A digital workforce where every single agent has a very specific job to do. And this is where it gets so cool, because this shows exactly how they're defined. And listen, this isn't just a cute metaphor. It's literally a database table. Just like a real HR roster, right? Each agent has its own unique role, a status like active or sleeping, and, this is critical, a hard-coded financial authority limit. So you can see the payroll manager can handle $1 million, but the little accounts clerk is capped at $5,000. It's all right there. Now, this is a really, really important distinction to understand. We have to separate two things: skills and tools. Think of skills as what an agent knows. It's their expertise, their domain knowledge, like a human accountant who understands all the rules of revenue recognition. Tools, on the other hand, are what an agent can do. These are the specific, concrete actions they can take, like create a purchase order. So it's pretty simple. One is the knowledge, and the other is the power to actually do something with that knowledge. Okay, but to do any kind of complex job, these agents need a memory, right? And this architecture gives each one of them a kind of three-part brain. First, you've got short-term memory, just for what it's doing right now. Then there's semantic memory, which is really cool. It can search for conceptually similar things from the past, like show me all my past negotiations with this specific supplier. And then, most importantly, you have structured memory. These are the hard, cold facts from the database, the numbers. And this part always overrides everything else, which is how you stop the AI from just making stuff up. Which, of course, brings us to the absolute elephant in the room. We all know AI can be, well, unpredictable. So how on earth do you trust it? How do you give it the keys to the company bank account and sleep at night? How do you make sure it doesn't just make some catastrophic company-ending mistake? Well, the answer is actually really elegant, and it's incredibly powerful. You don't. You don't rely on the AI's good judgment at all. Instead, you rely on an unbreakable rulebook. And this rulebook isn't enforced by polite suggestions or clever prompts. It's enforced by pure mathematics, baked in at the lowest possible level of the system. And this right here, this is the absolute core of how this whole system stays safe. Think about it. The AI agent's thinking might be kind of fuzzy. It's all about probabilities. But the database it's writing to, that is 100% deterministic, black and white. The rules are absolute, period. Yeah, this quote from the source material really just says it all. You take a normal, kind of fuzzy business rule, something like, hey, don't overspend your budget, and you translate that idea into a rigid, formal, mathematical constraint inside the database. A constraint that is physically impossible for the AI, or frankly for anyone, to ever violate. And here's how it actually works in practice, step by step. Let's say an agent tries to create a new purchase order for $15,000.
Okay, before that transaction is ever saved, a trigger inside the database intercepts it. It checks a simple mathematical rule. Is this new value less than or equal to the agent's financial limit? If the answer is yes, great, the transaction goes through. If it's no, it is rejected instantly. It's not a suggestion. The AI literally cannot break the rule.
Okay, so we have our digital employees, and we have the unbreakable rulebook that keeps them in line. So now, let's put it all together. Let's watch what a real autonomous business process actually looks like, from beginning to end.
Just check out this timeline. It's 8 a.m. A scheduled job kicks off and sees, hey, our stock levels are low. 1 minute later, a task is automatically created for the buyer agent. At 8:02, that agent wakes up, queries its memory to look for past supplier deals. By 8:05, just 3 minutes later, it decides what to do and uses its tool to create a purchase order. At 8:05 and 1 second, the database rulebook instantly verifies that the order is within the agent's spending limit. And by 8:06, the PO is created and sent out. The whole thing took 6 minutes. And the best part? Zero human involvement. And look, we're not talking about buying a box of paper clips here. The system autonomously generated and executed a purchase order for $42,500. That's a real number. That's when this whole concept stops being theoretical and becomes incredibly real. But okay, what happens when the agent gets it wrong? Because it will. Well, this is where the system is, I think, truly brilliant. If an agent tries to overspend, the database doesn't just say no. It blocks the action, sure, but it also sends back a clear error message. That error then gets fed right back into the AI's short-term memory. So the agent literally sees its mistake, understands the rule it broke, and then submits a corrected, valid action. The system is teaching the AI how to do its job correctly, all by itself. All right, let's zoom out for our last section here. We've seen the nuts and bolts, the mechanics of how this works. But what are the really big, profound implications of all this? What does it actually mean when the structure of your company is its software architecture? This chart just perfectly shows the fundamental change. In pretty much every system you've ever used, all the important business rules live up here, in this fragile, often complex application layer. It's kind of brittle. But in this new headless model, all of that critical logic gets pushed way down, deep into the database itself. And that makes it so much more robust, so much more secure, because it's impossible to separate the rules from the data they're supposed to be governing. So if we boil it all down, the anatomy of this self-driving company has 4 key parts. You've got the digital workforce, those are your AI agents. You've got their tri-partite memory, which is how they remember things. You have the unbreakable rulebook, which is how they're controlled and kept safe. And finally, you have the engine room, the solid open source tech like PostgreSQL and Supabase that makes this whole thing possible. So look, if there's one single thing to take away from all this, it's this. This is not just a small incremental improvement on the old way of doing things. It is a fundamental ground-up shift in how we think about this stuff. We are moving from a world where humans use business software to a world where AI agents are the business, governed by the pure logic that's hard-coded into the database. And, that leaves us with one final massive question to think about. If all the operational grunt work, the clicks, the reconciliations, the purchase orders, the payroll runs, if all of that is just handled autonomously, what's left for us to do? What becomes the new, highest value work for human ingenuity, for our creativity and our strategic thinking?